Welcome to the PBP podcast, where we give our unsolicited opinions point blank, period. I'm Hannah.
I'm Sydney.
And thank you guys so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. Sydney took her time to trek in this crazy weather to be here today.
We've had basically a blizzard outside. Yesterday, we were going to try to make it out, but me and my sister tried to leave and we were sliding everywhere. It was just not good. So yeah, weather is holding us back this week, but here we are.
The weather has been insane.
It really has.
Literally.
It literally snowed all day yesterday. I mean, probably from like 6 a.m. up until the middle of the night last night. Yeah. And then even now I'm looking out the window and there's snow. So yeah, it's not a good time to be out right now. A lot of businesses were closed yesterday. My place of employment shut down, which is rare. So yeah, it's pretty dangerous outside. But I have 4-wheel drive, but sometimes, like, depending on like if it's slushy on the road, my car still doesn't do well with that. So that's what we were running into yesterday. There's a lot of wetness.
It's mostly like main roads on the way to my house, so it's not like crazy bad.
No.
So
the only bad thing about it was just the winds. The winds are up crazy today. So the weather here has been wild. But I love snow, so I'm making no complaints. I will always forever take a free snow day off of work. So yeah, I'm here for it.
We have a lot to talk about. This is kind of going to be a little bit more formal episode. We're going to be talking about conspiracy theories later on in the episode. But before we get into that, how are you doing?
I'm good. I feel like I've been kind of like closed in to myself the past few days. Like, I don't want to say standoffish, but that's probably how I've came across. I just haven't like had the mental capacity to like communicate. And I don't know why, because I seem to be feeling fine.
Yeah.
It's just, I've been weird. Like, my sister's been staying at the house and I've been like keeping my phone in my bedroom and just kind of taking time away from it. Of course, I'm in Facebook jail currently. So
we can talk about that later.
Yeah. I'm in Facebook jail. So, I mean, honestly, it's a good thing. Keeps me off of there and arguing with stupid people. But other than that, I'm okay. I mean, obviously, like I said, I got a day off today thanks to the weather, so I can't make any complaints.
Right.
So, but how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been kind of, you kind of get cabin fever after being in for so long. And I've been trying to keep, busy and like doing my thing, with all the stuff that I have going on. But, after a while, it's like I need to get out of this house and clear my head, or else I'm going to go nuts.
Yeah, I get that. So that's why, like, I know tomorrow they're like questioning on whether or not they should open. And I'm really kind of hoping that they do and I can just like go, because I don't want to be stuck all week. I mean, it would be nice to have another day off, but I'd rather just get it behind me.
Right.
And not be stuck at home.
Right. And we have Lainey.
Lainey's here with us today. Yeah, she's watching the recording. She does not want any part of being on camera whatsoever.
That's okay.
But hey, sis.
Hi.
She's waving. She's shy. She pretends to be shy. A little shout out to her. Lainey has lost 105 pounds. So
that's amazing.
That is amazing. That's nothing to hide your face over. Yeah. That's like a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
So shout out to you.
You should definitely feel proud of yourself.
You really should, because you look bomb.
Yeah.
Like, really. So she's
like, we're hyping her up, and she's like,
she's such a cheesy type. Like, if you talk about her, she just sits there and grins and like she puts her face down. But really, you deserve that recognition, because that's huge. That's really huge. So shout out to you. Thanks for being here. But anyways, so I know that you guys are like super, super hype about like a conspiracy episode. You guys love that shit. You love paranormal, you love crime, you love conspiracies. And so we kind of wanted to take a step away from like the serious life conversations and dive into some of that stuff. And we picked a few of you to talk about the conspiracies Yeah, the Conspiracies that you posted on our Facebook post. Obviously, we couldn't pick everyone because there would be a 6-hour episode. We can't do that. So we did pick and choose the ones that we felt like we could really dive into and get some information on those. So we're excited to talk about that. But first, we have to get the Celbri-TEA out of our system.
Celebrity.
Yeah. So first things first, let us cover that because that's our favorite.
Yes. R.I.P. Bob Saget.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's a wild, tough blow for 2022.
That was it's so unexpected.
It really was.
You weren't expecting, Bob Saget found dead in a hotel room in Florida.
And Betty White, too.
Today's her birthday.
Happy 100 to Betty.
Oh, so sad.
It is sad. I mean, I feel like Bob Saget helped raise us.
Pretty much. Danny Tanner.
He really helped raise us. I mean, waking up for school every morning, I was watching Full House. And I remember just loving, not that I didn't have a loving home because I did, but just loving their family dynamic and really looking at him as like the best dad ever.
Yeah.
So rest in peace to him because that's so sad.
Sure. And all of the Full House cast was at his funeral, and that just proves like how beloved he really was.
I know.
And like nobody had beef with him. Everybody thought he was like one of the best guys there was. Like treated everybody like his own child, pretty much. And
I think that's the kind of like legacy that any of us would want to leave behind.
For sure.
To be known for a wonderful person and leave that kind of mark on the world.
I mean, the same with Betty White.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like kind of the same dynamic, same kind of person.
And I just want to remind everyone that it's not too late to donate to some type of, ASPCA, shelters in your local community in honor of Betty White. I still think that's one of the greatest things that she did as a person. I mean, she did a lot of amazing things, but she really was a voice for animals when they don't have one themselves.
For sure.
So you can still donate even $5 to your local shelters. I highly encourage everyone to look into that if you can. But there's 2 great ones lost already, and so I saw something on TikTok that was like, we must protect Adam Sandler at all costs.
Oh my God, 100%. Holy shit.
Because 2022 is already showing its teeth in the worst way.
And it's Mercury retrograde too.
Let me just say that I am scared to death of Mercury retrograde because the last time we were in one, our podcast, everything fell apart. I mean, just like equipment wise, and it was just a hot mess. We tried to plan a very formal episode during retrograde. It was hard as fuck.
We still got it out though.
We did. I mean, and I'm proud of what we put out, but it was just hard. My grandma died during the last retrograde, so it was just not good. I feel like every time I'm highly affected by it. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate if you believe in that. I'm here to tell you that it's real. And shit will come for you one way or the other.
Yeah.
So I'm trying really hard not to think about it. I'm trying to just kind of like hide my face like this and just move through life until retrograde is over.
That's why I've been staying in the house.
Right. Yeah. It's so just be careful out there. Don't make any big decisions. Don't do a whole lot with technology. Don't try to launch something new right now because retrograde is not a good time for that. So
it's all about like change.
Yeah.
It's what Mercury retrograde is all about.
And just trust us.
Yeah.
We've been affected. We are personal victims.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you've ever been personally victimized by retrograde.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly are engaged.
And they drank each other's blood. Are we shocked?
Are we cringed?
We're
yes.
super cringed. I mean, good for them. Like, I'm not knocking it. Like, I knew that it was going to come sooner than later.
Yeah.
But again, just to follow up from our last episode where we talked about them, they're so fucking weird and cringy. Like, they just try to put on like this ritualistic, spiritual, evil, crazy type of relationship, and it's just so strange,
like
and
Jennifer's
weird.
Body.
Yeah,
like Jennifer's body is Megan Fox's personality trait.
Exactly.
Like, period.
She hasn't like come out of that role yet in her life. But the video of him proposing to her, it was actually, I mean, I thought it was very cute. I mean, she got down with him and said yes, which is very nice. But at the same time, like,
but
why y'all memes, drinking each other's blood?
All the fucking memes. I have them all saved on my phone. I'll put them on the screen because they're freaking hilarious.
They really.
I was dead.
The internet is so fast.
No, they are.
They're so quick.
Like, I was dead. We am weed.
Yeah. That's so funny. I didn't see that one.
We am weed. Foot Locker literally like quote tweeted and said, to be clear, Machine Gun Kelly requested off that day.
Because he's wearing what looks like a Foot Locker jersey that they wear at work. Yeah. So
when they have your size on the sale rack at Foot Locker.
Yeah, definitely check those out when she throws them up because they are too damn funny. But I mean, shout out to them. I mean, obviously, you know.
The ring's really pretty though.
It is gorgeous. I like the green.
Yeah.
Courtney and Travis got engaged, so MGK and
of course they had to,
and Megan had to follow suit. And next it'll be Pete and Kim. So
shut your mouth.
Stay tuned.
You shut your mouth. Good God, have you seen the pictures of Kanye at Chicago and True's birthday party?
Yes, he looks as off his medication as he ever has in his entire life.
I'll put the picture on the screen. It was on page 6. Homeboy is unhinged.
He is completely unhinged. And do you actually believe that he wasn't invited?
Well, apparently, according to Kim, it was his idea to have 2 separate birthday parties.
Are you kidding me?
No.
See, here's the thing. I see a lot of slander about Kim and Kanye. Like, I see more of the slander towards Kim because people just love to slander the Kardashians. But I feel like what we don't realize is that I think she really fucking tried. Yeah. Like, I think she really tried for their marriage. I think she wanted it to work. I think she loved him. I think she was a good wife, a good mom. You know, I mean, but someone can only be the backbone for someone else's mental health for so long.
Right.
I mean, she couldn't continue to let his mental health problems bring her down.
Yeah.
So, you know, you people should really shut the fuck up before you go and make accusations. I mean, I wasn't there. You weren't there. We don't really know. But I really do feel like just based off what we see, she tried.
And they also have 4 children together. Like, I feel like she's looking out for those kids' best interests, too.
Right,
like,
right.
What?
Words.
Does she want them to be around an unhinged man when he's off his medication?
Right.
You don't know what he's going to do.
I feel like he's really doing the most for social media, too. God. Like, I mean, if he's the one that requested 2 separate birthday parties, she didn't have to give him that location.
Yeah.
And then Travis Scott gives him the location. Like, Travis, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And then, you know, he puts out the lyric that he's going to beat Pete Davidson's ass. Kanye just looks very much like a child right now.
Yeah, like, you're like 40-something, bro.
Like, sit the fuck down. Like, it's very apparent that you are jealous of Kim's new fling. I don't even want to call it a relationship because...
Yeah, we think it's fake.
We definitely think it's fake. But he just looks dumb. And Julia Fox, she looks dumber. Because if she can't see what he's doing, then she's really...
and she's supporting the new lyric that he's, you know, coming out with Future or whatever. Yeah. And she's like, I can't, like, say anything about him and his lyric because that's how he wants to express himself. Like, bitch, you look stupid.
Yeah, go write in your diary.
Oh my God.
And her, I'm sorry, like, obviously she has a beautiful body, but these low cut pants that she keeps wearing, like, says we don't need to continually see your ass crack.
Oh my God. And that video with him, her, Madonna, Antonio Brown, Floyd Mayweather, I was like,
they look dumb. Like, we can very much tell that it's a cover up for how Kanye's truly feeling.
Is this a lobby at the Best Western?
Literally. It's just embarrassing. Like, they're all acting like a bunch of fucking fools. And honestly, the one I think that's acting the least like a fool is Kim.
Right. Like, she's just letting him show his true colors. Yep. And she's just chilling with Pete. Like, Pete, he's the least person to give a fuck about having a lyric written about him. He's like,
he will
sick. I have a fucking Kanye West lyric about me.
Right. And he will absolutely take that and turn it into a joke for SNL.
Yeah. I mean, he makes jokes about his father dying in 9/11, for God's sake.
You have to have a different type of sense of humor if you follow Pete Davidson
for sure.
on his comedic journey. So, anyways, I just think they look dumb. I really do. So, but...
And the last thing that I wanted to talk about, Khloe, you know, I sent you that video of her being or like fetishizing black men and saying the N-word.
Yeah, she did. And on Keeping Up, too.
Yeah. Apparently, like, nobody paid attention to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, apparently we didn't. But at the same time, you also see how Kim like doesn't even bat an eye.
Right.
So it looks like it's very common for them to drop the N-word in their home.
Yeah. Apparently that's like normal.
And I feel like, and I'm not defending what Khloe did by any means. Please don't take this that way. I feel like maybe she was just repeating what someone else said about her. But at the same time, like, you could have like blocked that out. Like, you could have said something different. Like, and to say it on camera so carefree, like, what are you doing?
Or just not set it on camera at all.
Yeah. Just not everything has to be out there like that. So
yeah, or just not said the N-word.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, just completely just said something totally different. And then, you know, maybe even followed up with, I can't believe people would even say things like that or even try to use that word. But, you know, like, I've been called that before. Most recently, actually. And I'm talking about, you know, let's just say the second word is lover. First word, I'm not going to say. And it's so rude and so racist and so disgusting.
Yeah.
And so to be called that, I will never understand. And it's not like it hurts me because I'm like, so what if I like black guys?
Okay, and your point?
And you like skinny rednecks who dip in their teeth is brown.
Who don't have teeth.
Right. So... You know, but anyways, it's just gross. People like that are disgusting. Right. Do you?
If you love a crackhead, then love a crackhead.
Love a crackhead. Let me love my black men. Yeah. My educated black men.
Yeah.
So
I just like, I was taken aback when I saw the video because I was like, holy shit, why didn't anybody like say anything?
I don't think I've ever
seen
that in the media before that girl posted that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Khloe had said that. And I don't know how she hasn't received more backfire for it.
Your guess is as good as mine.
It's very strange. But
it's just like it was glossed over.
It really was.
Completely.
It really was. But I mean, a lot of things that celebrities do are like glossed over and people are paid off to like hide and get rid of that shit.
Yeah.
So anyways.
The one thing I did want to talk about really quickly before we get into our conspiracies, there was a hostage situation at a synagogue in Texas this weekend. And I think it was maybe 8 or 9 people were held hostage.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary.
And they were all, I think none of them died. They were all let go. But of course, the person that held them hostage is dead.
Oh, good.
So I just wanted to...
Do they know what the reasoning was behind it, or
no? I don't know. I haven't really read a lot into it, but I just know it was at a Jewish synagogue. So the guy was Muslim. Not that has anything to do with him holding it hostage.
Let's not forget, white boys are typically your terrorists,
right?
So that's not what she's saying. She's just spitting facts.
Yeah, there is so much anti-Semitism, like, in the world, not just America, like, in the world, where people hate Jews just because they're Jewish.
Right.
And it's disgusting.
It is.
So my heart just really goes out to those people that were held hostage.
Yeah, but that's a terrifying situation.
That's
I can't
really
imagine.
Scary.
Yeah, it is.
But at least they were able to make it out alive.
It's so sad. Today's world, like, you can't feel safe anywhere. You can't feel safe in your place of worship. You can't feel safe in school. You can't feel safe going to concerts, to the store. I mean, anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to be on high alert and carry some form of protection. You should at all times.
For sure.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. But I didn't want to be too serious, but that did happen like this past week. So I just wanted to bring it up really quickly. So
it's good to shed light on that kind of stuff. So
anyway, let's take a break and think a word. Think a word? What the fuck?
Word.
Thank today's sponsor. Okay.
We're back.
We're back. Okay. So we're going to talk about conspiracies. And I just want to disclaimer really quickly that these aren't necessarily true.
Right.
We're just having fun.
We are.
With it. But there are some that do end up being true.
Right.
And I actually will have a couple episodes on conspiracies that ended up being true on History with Hannah K.
Go check it out.
I just won't bring them up in this because I'm not trying to get people to steal it. So yeah.
So conspiracies, they're fun because, you know, there's a lot of things that go on in the world that are just questionable, especially with our government sometimes, and like people's deaths, for instance. It just sometimes feels like a setup, a conspiracy, and it's really fun to like dive into these conspiracies and read why people believe this to be so. And then as you're reading it, it's like, damn, like that makes a lot of sense. So,
but also going down a rabbit hole sometimes just kind of gets you in trouble.
It does. You know? Yeah. I mean, a lot of conspiracies are like, rabbit holes.
Whoa, that's a way out of there.
Yeah, like you're stretching it at this point.
Yeah.
And again, we did put up a post in the group asking you what your favorite conspiracies are that you tend to believe in. And we had a great response to that. We appreciate you guys. We couldn't pick everyone, like I said at the beginning, or else we'd be here all day. But we did pick a few, and me and Hannah will just kind of take turns going over the ones that we have chosen.
I only have like 3, so you guys,
that's all I really have.
Go take like if you have more or whatever.
Well, I'll start with one that Kayla, I don't want to use people's last names on the episode, but she posted aliens, which is obviously a huge conspiracy.
Yeah.
In today's world.
Well, the government has come out and said that aliens or extraterrestrials are real.
They can't prove that it's not.
Yeah. I mean, how can you
right.
How can you be ignorant and say that like, oh, we're the only people or only beings that live in this whole entire galaxy,
right,
and beyond,
right?
That's stupid.
It is stupid, and I will say we will give our personal opinions on this as well. I do firmly believe in aliens. Do I believe that they're green-headed men with 2 big black eyes? No, right. But I do believe in more life beyond this earth.
I think like, as extraterrestrials, I think they look like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they look like green people or
right.
like ET or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did a little research, and a lot of this is not my own words because I want to give, just stuff that I researched. And this is an article published by The Guardian. So the Pentagon has been quietly investigating flying objects since 2007. In June, the U.S. government published a long-awaited report into UFOs. Although the report did not, as many had hoped, admit to the existence of little green men, it did reveal that not only were objects appearing in our skies that the Pentagon, which controls the U.S. military, could not explain, but some clearly pose a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. The head of the military basically has been investigating this since 2007. That's a long time.
I mean, Area 51 has been around since like the 50s.
Right. So. And so, if our government is not, it's not like they can confirm it, but they can't deny it. Right. Is basically what they're saying, which is huge.
Didn't they come out like last year with something about UFOs?
Maybe. I didn't catch that in my article, but that's really very possible because I believe that as many sightings as there have been over the years,
right?
It's too hard to say that, and like you sometimes I'll even be like, what the fuck is that in the sky? And 9 times out of 10, it might be a plane, but there's also been times before where I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. What is that? Yeah. But I can't say that it was a UFO. It's not like I saw a big flying saucer,
right?
But there's times that it's been questionable. And the alien conspiracy started in 1947. Ever since a U.S. Air Force balloon crashed near Roswell. Conspiracy theorists confused the balloon for UFO. The U.S. government did a lousy job debunking those claims, and they quickly captured the public's imagination.
I think that was called Operation Mogul.
Okay.
Project Mogul or something like that.
So that's kind of what started people's hype into this world of extraterrestrial. And then in 1961, Barney and Betty Hill told the world's first alien abduction story. And again, this is an article from the History Channel. I just want to make sure I give credit to where I got this information. They say, is it chasing us? The thought coursed through Betty and Barney Hill's minds as they drove down the empty, winding country road in New Hampshire's White Mountains. It was a September night in 1961. They hadn't seen a car for miles, and a strange light in the sky seemed to follow them. When they finally got home to Portsmouth at dawn, they were far from relieved. They felt dirty, their watches stopped working, Barney's shoes were strangely scuffed, and Betty's dress was ripped. There were 2 hours of the drive that neither of one of them could remember what had happened. With the help of a psychiatrist, the quiet couple eventually revealed a startling story. Gray beings with large eyes had walked them into a metallic disc as wide, Betty said, as her house was long. Once inside, the beings examined the couple and erased their memories. That's kind of just like a condensed down version of the story. So how do you discredit people's stories like this? You can't.
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
No. I'll tell you why. Because I read this article that they were friends with like somebody in the Air Force. And during that time, they were an interracial couple.
Oh, really?
Yes. And they, people think that they were a part of MK Ultra. Yeah. So they were abducted and then like drugged and brainwashed with, LSD.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is still kind of fascinating.
Which is fucking crazy.
Right.
Honestly, that's still fucking insane.
And I can see why they would think something beyond has happened to them.
Right. I mean, and imagine what LSD does do that.
Right.
It makes you like trip.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're going to think you're in space.
Yeah.
Strong enough weed will do that way as well.
Right.
Just disclaimer. So yeah, that's kind of how that got started. And ever since Betty and Barney Hill, there has been hundreds upon hundreds of sightings of extraterrestrial beings, flying saucers, stuff that people can't explain in the sky. There's just too many to be able to say that it's not real. And another interesting fact that I found on that same article was that PTSD in those claiming to have been abducted has been clinically diagnosed numerous of times.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I just thought that was a fun fact. You don't know what those people have been through. You don't know whether, is it an alien abduction? I don't know. Is it something more explainable? Maybe, yeah. But they were the only ones that have been through it.
Yeah, and I'm not like trying to discredit them.
Right.
I'm just like, back in the 60s, it was a different time for interracial couples.
Yes,
like it was frowned upon.
Right.
You couldn't get married.
Right.
Back then. So was the government like surveilling them?
Right. That's very possible. Yeah.
I don't know, but who knows?
I mean, either way, they've had some sort of experience.
Right.
Whether that be aliens, the government, something happened to those two and they felt that they needed to talk about it with a psychiatrist, and their story has been told thousands of times.
Yeah. If you watched Asylum, like American Horror Story Asylum, they have like a portrayal in that season.
Wow.
Yeah.
So cool stuff. So Kayla, thank you for that idea. I think that's a big one. Like, I don't feel like we could talk about conspiracies without mentioning aliens.
Definitely.
So do you want me to go on to the next listener, or do you want to dive into one?
No, you can keep on going. We can save ours for last.
Okay. Megan, who is a huge supporter of ours.
Yes.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
She had commented and she had brought up the 9/11 conspiracy. I don't want to talk about this lightly.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here and say that I believe it because I feel like a lot of this has been debunked according to the article that I have read. But again, this is a conspiracy that is very much alive today and one that I feel like we should touch on. So, millions of Americans believe that the tragedy was a well-planned, well-conceived, diabolical act. Many believe it was a stage plan that the government knew about beforehand in an attempt to impose martial law on the country. If you don't know what martial law is, it's military government involving the suspension of U.S. law.
The only time I think that's happened is when Pearl Harbor was attacked.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I think.
Yeah. Wow.
Don't quote me on that, but I think.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of like the gist behind why people believe this. They feel like it was that attempt to do that. They've managed to convince the credulous that the carnage was part of a Machiavellian,
yeah.
You go, girl.
Niccolo Machiavelli.
Plot by a parade of the usual suspects, which would be George W. Bush, the GOP, the CIA, the FBI, and the Department of Justice, to wipe out civil liberties, impose a national security state, create a pretext for the quagmires in Afghanistan and Iraq, terrorize the American people, and strengthen the hand of the pro-Israel lobby in U.S. politics.
That's so stupid.
I agree. I mean, it's, again, I just want to say that a lot of this has been debunked.
And how long has that been going on where people are like, oh, they're trying to, have martial law under us, under X, Y, and Z president. Like,
it's
how many times?
And again, and I'm not knocking Megan's idea of 9/11 because she is not alone. There is millions of people to believe this to be a conspiracy. There was an entire documentary of it on, was it Netflix? I feel like it was on Netflix at one point.
I think so.
So she is not alone in this. And again, people believe what they're going to believe. You can't change that. But this is just such a tough subject because that was a downright tragedy.
Yeah.
These were people's lives. And at the end of the day, no matter what the reasoning behind it was, which I don't believe it to be this, that's just my personal opinion.
Right.
People died.
I think it would be really sad if you said, oh, 9/11 was a conspiracy to somebody who lost a loved one.
Right.
During that really, really scary time.
Right. And I feel like, I know me personally, and 9/11 still just affects me in such a harsh way. Like 9/11, like the day of remembrance is just so like, I'm so sad that day, like thinking back, because I feel like if you were old enough to remember, you do remember that day very well.
Yes.
You remember it from the time you got up, from the time to the time you went to bed, and the weeks to follow, how it was at school, what the news was like, the body count. It was terrible. It was terrible. It's the worst attack America, I feel like, has ever seen.
Yes. Before, or like Pearl Harbor was obviously the first, and then 9/11 was the worst.
Right.
Do I think that the CIA probably had intel that something was going to happen and they just didn't act upon it? Right. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like that happens more often than we realize.
But also we have to look at like George Bush's vice president, Dick Cheney, who was a really big oil tycoon and like had serious investments in Saudi Arabia and Iraq, Iran, all of those places. Right. And he basically ran the country for George Bush. Like, you have to do this or I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Right.
Because he shot one of his best friends in the face. Literally. And the best friend apologized. Like, he was like, he didn't mean it. I'm like, bro, you got shot in the face.
Yeah.
By your bestie.
Yeah. It's just a lot of information that I feel like has just been misconstrued.
And I feel like there's a lot of fairly good things that came out of it, like TSA with airports and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like they don't like discriminate against people of color, because they absolutely do.
That goes on every day.
Oh, like the next 20. Oh, it's a Middle Eastern person. I'm going to check them. Like, that's
let's bring them back racist. To the office. Yeah.
But I feel like security for that reason is a good thing.
I agree.
And they put, Homeland Security in. But I feel like this was it was also another reason to go to war. And that's what Bush and Cheney were wanting at the time. And I'm not saying that they had anything to do with 9/11. But this was just a big reason that they wanted to do that.
Right.
To go to war with them.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's a tough
sad.
Conspiracy. It's
really sad. I've been to the 9/11 memorial in New York City.
Can't imagine how touching.
So fucking sad. I will post pictures on the screen. Mm-hmm. It's awful. Oh my God. It's so sad.
I believe it.
I cried the whole time.
To further this conspiracy theorists allege that explosives were planted at the World Trade Center, that Jewish and Israeli tower workers and occupants were warned the day before, supposedly by the Mossad, which is the Israeli intelligence agency, to stay away, that a missile slammed into the Pentagon, that the government hid the wreckage of the United Airlines plane, that terrorists crashed in Pennsylvania. And again, to follow up, every one of these claims have been debunked.
Another anti-Semitic thing to blame Jewish people for.
Right. So, people are going to believe what they want to believe. Megan, I think this is a great submission. I think that this is a good one to touch on because, again, you and millions of other people believe that. And you have your reasons, and that's fine. I have my reasons for my conspiracy that I'm going to talk about. I just personally don't buy into this one.
Reading the 9/11 Commission, I just disagree.
Yeah.
I think that the government, like I said, I think they did have some intel on this possibly occurring, but didn't take action on it because they're like, we haven't had a terrorist attack since the 40s.
Right.
So why act upon it now?
Right.
But apparently they were very unprepared for this to occur.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So again, rest in peace to all the lives lost. It's a very tough day in history. So the next submission was from the girl to my left, whom you can't see. She's wrapped up in a blanket over here. Lainey, my sister.
Lainey Doodle.
Lainey submitted the Sandy Hook shooting. She believes it to be a hoax. So these are Lainey's words because I asked her, what are the reasons she believed this to be a hoax? And she says Obama was in office and he was focusing on gun control at that point in time in his presidency. The mom of one of the little girls who lost their lives is seen in pictures at other shootings or riot as if she's been paid off by the government. There were eyewitnesses saying that they saw a bunch of men in military clothes go into the school while the shooting was occurring, and the guy that they charged with it had actually died a day before the shooting even happened. So I don't know too much about this one.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all her. And I think that I actually have read something about one of the moms being spotted at several different shootings.
Yeah, they talk about people playing victims, like actors.
Yeah. This is questionable to me. I'm not going to say yes or say no because, again, I'm a firm believer that the government does some shit. I'm a firm believer that sometimes they do shitty shit for whatever reason. I don't know what the reasons may be. Do I think that they planned a massive terrorist attack on the country? No, I don't. But do I think that sometimes they try to distract? Yes, I do. And I'm not saying that the Sandy Hook conspiracy is true. I don't know. But I feel like sometimes, just like the whole paid actors thing, I feel like that does happen sometimes. Or if it's not the same person, it's eerily similar. And there is some things in these shootings, which is, again, a tragedy. And I don't want to downplay anything that goes on or even say that it didn't happen, because it did. And lives were lost. Kids were killed. It's sad. It's fucking awful. School shootings is a major problem in this country. But there is some things, and again, not in every case, that I feel like we don't have an answer for. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's why people do buy into these things, because some things can't be explained.
Right. But with the whole gun control thing, we have to admit that there is a huge gun issue.
There is. Yes, I agree.
And I'm not saying like, oh, you don't have the right to defend yourself. You don't have the right to, own a gun. That's not what I'm saying at all. Right. I'm saying like there's not enough stipulations. Right. There's not enough security.
I agree.
To like, there's these fucking psycho people just being able to obtain a gun.
Kids.
Yeah.
Kids.
Without issue.
Right. So again, I see why Lainey believes that one. Again, I haven't looked into it enough to be able to give my opinion on that personally, but I can see where there is like holes in every story sometimes, or odd things that occur where we're like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see her reasonings behind that, and I think that's one that I am going to dive into.
But what about like the Las Vegas shooting too?
I also feel like that was...
And the Pulse nightclub shooting.
I don't know much about the Pulse one, but the Las Vegas shooting, to me, it
was weird.
It was questionable to me.
It was weird.
I was actually going to bring that up. As soon as you said that, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
My mom and I have talked about this. I somehow feel like the government had something to do with that.
It was weird. For sure.
It was. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, I don't have the answers. Like, obviously, I can't say, oh, that was a hoax. Like, the government did that. I don't know for sure. But a part of me believes that the government... I'm sorry. I don't always trust the government.
Plus, well, the Virginia Tech shooting, I mean, we had a Republican in office still.
Yep.
I mean, we can't say that was a government hoax because they don't believe in gun control.
Right.
So
it's stuff is very questionable. And if you haven't looked into the Las Vegas shooting, like if you haven't went down the rabbit hole,
that shit is weird.
It is weird. You should go look at it. It's very strange.
And even like the mainstream media like questioned it.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. It's I feel like the government does shitty shit to us sometimes. And people die at the hands of the government.
Well, it's been proven that they've done it time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
And it will come to light eventually. It may not be, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. Hell, they had to, they released documents, the CIA does, like 70 years later.
Right.
Because nobody gives a fuck anymore.
Right.
And most of them are dead.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's, shit is questionable. And again, very much so on that Las Vegas shooting. That shit, I'm almost to the point of saying, yes, a hoax. I'm almost to that point. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to be that person because I obviously don't know for sure. But there's too much shit there that I'm like,
yeah.
That's suspicious.
That's weird.
Yeah. So, anyways, those are the 3 conspiracies that I picked from our listeners. I appreciate you guys so much for engaging in that stuff. And those were all very good submissions. Mm-hmm. Do you want to jump into yours really quick?
No, you go.
All right. So, let me get myself situated here.
Mine aren't really like all that crazy.
So I'm going to do one that might be a little mainstream, might sound a little crazy. And I feel like I've said to Hannah, like, oh, I for sure believe this. I don't know that I for sure believe this. I just feel like this is a good example of stuff that can be done.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it has been done. And this one is just really fascinating to me because of the facts in this article. And again, I'm pulling my information from an article because I'm not very good at like condensing my thoughts into my own words. But I have read this stuff before, and this is an article from High Snobiety. And I'm talking about the conspiracy that Tupac Shakur still lives today. And people are going to be like, oh my God, like you seen the pictures in the Las Vegas when he was shot by Suge Knight, his people, he was dead. Like, this man has been dead. Let him be dead. Let him rest in peace. I'm all for that. But there's a lot of stuff that, again, just like any conspiracy, is questionable. Let's see here. Let me find the part that I thought was especially interesting. And Tupac is somebody that is still very much in today's pop culture. Mm-hmm. His music has obviously lived on up until today and will live on for many years to come. I mean, even at Coachella, and I believe it was in 2012, his hologram did an entire performance, which is crazy. Sick. Crazy. Let's see here. One of the main reasons the late rapper still feels so omnipresent in the enduring conspiracy theory that he didn't succumb to gunshot wounds sustained in a drive-by shooting on the Las Vegas Strip on September 13th, 1996, but escaped to Cuba and has been laughing at us ever since. Just a quick search of Tupac in Google News, and you'll find monthly tabloid stories dedicated to the subject with new sightings of the rapper and fresh reports on the method in which he faked his death. One of the latest theories suggests Tupac switched with a double and was flown out of Las Vegas by a helicopter after learning someone was planning to assassinate him. And again, that's not something that can't be done. That can be done. People have stunt doubles all the time, do they not? People have doubles. People have lookalikes all the time.
Right.
That can be done. People can be paid off to do a lot of shit. Let me just say that. Money talks. Filmmaker Rick Boss, the director of the documentary Tupac, The Great Escape from UMC, claims Tupac is hiding out in New Mexico. Quote, let's just say, Mr. Shakur, the family is aware of the movie and they're okay with the title, so that should tell you more or less about what's going on. Boss told Las Vegas TV station. Let's see. Pac's body was still warm when his posthumous album Machiavelli was being marketed in November 1996, with billboards that read, listen very carefully, and a music video for the lead single Hail Mary, great song by the way, which featured Tupac quite literally rising up from the earth to murder all of his enemies. I know ad-libs and stuff were added to the 7 Day Theory album after Pac's death to keep him feeling alive, revealed Ronald Brent, who was responsible for the record's haunting artwork, in a 2019 interview with Crack Magazine. Let's see here. In 2017, Knight, which is Suge Knight, who is currently in prison, was still peddling this theory, suggesting to Ice-T in a TV interview, with Pac, you never know. His son Jacob has even claimed Pac is living in Malaysia and working on a new album. This marketing plan was even furthered by the Tupac Shakur estate itself, which was managed by his mother, Afeni. Is it Afeni? I don't know. Shakur, the 1997 music video for I Wonder If Heaven Got a Ghetto, features an off-camera Tupac arriving by helicopter in the desert just a day after his murder, furthering a conspiracy theory that the aforementioned Mr. Boss would later take to heart. So just to kind of dense this down, I could go on and on and on and on with like a million different conspiracies about his death. There's a lot of stuff in Tupac's visuals, a lot of stuff in his music that suggests his afterlife. That's if you kind of sit and listen and really pay attention to what he's saying. And again, it's a lot like Mac Miller, but I won't get into that either. It almost suggests that he knew this was going to happen to him. Mm-hmm. Which, if he knew something like this was being set up against him, it doesn't mean that he couldn't have planned for it and hid himself out of the main media. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, again, is it true? I don't know. But it's a good example of something that can very much be done. Like, this shit is not impossible. Again, money talks. People can be paid off to do anything. And if they want to take off and hide out somewhere and be hidden, they can do that. They can fake a death. Mm-hmm. There is nothing saying that they cannot fake a death. Mm-hmm. So is Tupac still out there? I don't know. I kind of hope so, because he was only 25. And for someone to have been shot and killed that young, it's sad regardless. Mm-hmm. But, you know, if he is, you know, passed away, rest in peace to him, because the man is a legend. His music lives on forever. He will forever be talked about. This conspiracy will never die. So that's one that I kind of just wanted to bring up for me personally, because I feel like it's, again, possible.
Right. Until he dies, or, you know,
right.
He's old enough to be dead.
Right. So anyways, that's just the one that I wanted to put out there.
Is that the only one you have?
Yeah, I didn't want to like go on and on and on.
Oh,
I didn't want to make it like.
I have like 3, but they're brief. Well, I think everybody believes this, that Princess Diana was murdered by the Queen.
I was actually going to write that one down too. I agree with that. Have you heard this, Lainey?
I don't think there needs to be like explanation because everybody believes it.
She was treated so poorly by the royal family. In her interview that she gave, I don't remember her exact words, but you could just see the sadness in her eyes, talking about they don't want her to be, you know, an honest person, a person with a caring heart. And again, just like Tupac, it was almost as if she knew something was going to happen to her.
Well, and they tried to, you know, cover for Charles when he was the one that was being a cheating, lying piece of shit.
Right.
With Camilla. But I think that, like, she was pregnant too, or like was allegedly pregnant by, I think he was a sultan of, I don't even know where, one of the Middle Eastern countries. I'm not sure. But, yeah, I think the royal family had her murdered.
I agree.
And
that's a good one.
And I think had Meghan Markle not have gotten out when she did, her and Harry, I think something would have happened to her.
I agree. They do not want an American woman.
Well, a black woman.
And a black woman at that. Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good one. That is one that I was going to write down. But the Tupac one is something that I just felt like it's one that I talk about a lot. So that's the one I went with. But that's a good one. I do believe that.
Well, and since today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Yeah.
I think, well, it's proven now that the FBI had Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated.
It is proven. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Oh,
it's proven.
Dive deep.
That J. Edgar Hoover, who was the head of the FBI at the time, Martin Luther King Jr. was under like heavy surveillance because he was a communist. And, you know, back during the Cold War, we were all against communism because, you know, being equal to each other was just fucking terrible.
It sounds a lot like today. Anyways.
Yeah. So he was like a big communist, and, you know, McCarthyism during that time was a huge deal. And we had to fight people who thought differently.
Right.
Because God forbid, you know, we have different thoughts.
God forbid we care about other human beings.
Yeah, we have different thoughts.
Those terrible people.
And I think that's like with every, you know, black leader of the Black Panther Party, you know, and Malcolm X. Well, I think one of his own was murdered him, Malcolm X. But they were all under heavy surveillance at the time because they were fighting for their fucking rights.
Right.
So yeah.
No, I agree with that too. I don't think I've ever dived into that one, but again, like you say, people when people care about other human beings, regardless of race, religion, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, it pisses people off.
Yeah, it really does.
It pisses people off really bad.
Yep.
So for Martin Luther King to be, you know, so loud and proud about, you know, bringing two races together that were very much separated at the time, I can see why it would piss people the fuck off.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have.
Nope.
He was a wonderful man who stood for wonderful, wonderful things. So rest in peace to him, and happy Martin Luther King Day.
Black Lives Matter.
Black lives absolutely fucking matter. And so, yeah, I agree with that. That's a good one.
And there's one more that I kind of believe, but I kind of don't believe at the same time. I go back and forth, and it's that John F. Kennedy was involved with the mafia.
I don't think I've heard this.
So he was from Boston. And during that time, the mafia was huge. It was really big in the 60s. And he made Robert, his brother, attorney general. But the mafia didn't like Robert Kennedy. They did not like him because he you know, he really put down the iron fist with organized crime.
Yeah.
But they think that possibly the mafia helped Kennedy get elected. In Chicago was one of the big places. I can't remember what the main guy for, or like the mob boss for Chicago was at that time. But you know how the mafia, if they wanted it, they'd get it at that time.
Right.
So, yeah, I think he was kind of involved, but kind of not involved at the same time.
Not as involved as people believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
People with money and people that is involved with the government.
Yeah.
They have so much more power than what we realize.
Yeah.
They have so much more power, obviously, than what we have.
Right.
So things like that, like, are not impossible.
Right.
You know, and so, yeah, I can see how that would be a conspiracy.
And there's a conspiracy that he had Marilyn Monroe murdered by the mafia.
Because he was sleeping with her?
Yes.
Ooh.
Like to fake, or like not fake, but like make it look like an accident type deal.
What was her cause of death again? Was it drugs?
It was, like overdose? OD. Or like asphyxiation, you know?
Yeah, see, that's questionable. Because did she ever even have a history of drug abuse before?
I think she did.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Yeah, because I know she came from a really broken home. Mm-hmm. And I think at one point she was doing drugs.
That's so
but
sad.
I don't know.
That's sad. She was such a beautiful woman.
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. But she was, you know, she was sleeping around with people's men. Mm-hmm. You know, she was known for that, but I'm not going to knock another woman. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying what she did was right, but again, you have to look at what Marilyn Monroe did stand for in beauty standards and not being a fucking tiny little thing just to be beautiful. Mm-hmm. She didn't conform to society's rules about how a woman should be.
Right.
So I am a fan of Marilyn because I feel like, you know, I'm a fan of any woman who stands up for women to be who they want to be. Mm-hmm. So rest in peace to her also.
Yeah. So those are mine.
Those are good ones.
Do you have any more?
I don't think I do. I think another thing, Mandela effect. And I don't really know. I didn't really research this. I just know that what it is and something that trips me the fuck out. Mm-hmm. How would you even explain that?
So Mandela effects, like that term comes from people who thought Nelson Mandela died in prison in like 1994 or something like that. But he didn't die until like 2014 or 2015 or something like that.
Which is so fucking weird. These Mandela effects, like you can Google it. Just one quick Google search and it'll show you like examples of like tons of
like
them.
Like Berenstain Bears.
Berenstain Bears. And then the Fruit of the Loom logo. Mm-hmm. Like it's like something, it's a picture of what you think it is. Like this is how it's always been, right? Like I've seen this for years and years. And then it'll show you what it actually is. And you're like, no fucking way.
Or Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. It's so weird because I'm like, what? And it blows my mind every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time. I saw one on TikTok recently that is actually a new one. In the Britney Spears Oops, I Did It Again video.
The headset?
Was she not wearing a headset?
I know, like, the doll. Like, I had the doll. The Britney Spears doll, and she was wearing a headset.
But I swear to God, in that video, she had a headset on.
I don't know.
I feel like I can remember her going like this. And like, kind of stroking the mic.
Yeah.
And then they showed the video and she's not wearing it. And my mind has been fucked ever since.
Yeah.
Because I watched that video religiously. Queen. I loved her. Still do.
Yeah.
But I swear she was wearing a headset. And you're right. The doll did have it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I'm thinking. But I swear there was a point in that video where she like turned around and had that mic in her hand. Just kind of like being playful with it.
Was there a time that she wore it at like a music award show or something like that? I don't know.
But I just that one really fucked me. I was like, yeah, wait a second.
I do remember that. Yeah. Like the headset thing. And I was like, yeah, I kind of do remember her wearing one.
Didn't you? Like, I don't know. Like, that shit really messed me up. But again, it could be other influences, like you said, like the doll or performances that are making me think that.
Yeah.
But when I picture that red latex outfit, I picture the headset with it. So again, I don't know, man. That one really tripped me out. But weird, if you've never, obviously, I feel like all of you have, but if you've never dived into Mandela effects, one quick Google search, go look into it.
Pretty crazy.
It's kind of hard to explain. But if you look at them, it'll make sense of what we're trying to say. Yeah. It's wild because I feel like every single Mandela effect that I've looked at and I'm like, oh, that is how it is. And then they're like, nope. And I'm like, what? Nah, like this is how it was. Like they really tripped me out, every single one of them. So that's a good one I thought to bring up. But other than that, I don't think I have any more. Again, there's tons of conspiracies out there and all of you commented some excellent examples, but we couldn't dive into all of them because we had to research some of them. But this was fun. We love doing stuff like this. I know you guys are crazy about that kind of that route of like ghosts and murders and conspiracies. So we wanted to give you all that and we'll continue to give you guys that. But we're also going to do what we do and talk our shit at the same time. So
period.
So
I think that's all we have.
That is. That was fun. You guys, your response to our very first YouTube video was huge.
Incredible.
Absolutely huge. We are so psych about it. Like that's great. There was like what, 100?
It was like 130 views.
That's awesome.
Obviously that's like not a lot for like people, like other people. But for us,
that's huge. So it means the world to us that you guys are watching, and even if you're still listening on audio, we love it. Like that's where we came from. That's what started this. Thank you guys so much. Any type of support means the world to us.
Yes.
And we're so close to 200 members in our Facebook group.
So close.
That's not a huge deal, but at the same time it is, because the more people that we can get into the group and engaging with our podcast, the more listens and views that we can get. And you know, the more that we have engagement, we can start doing bigger and better things.
And more topics we can discuss with people.
Because, you know, your opinions matter.
Yeah.
So like we love having your opinions included into this. I just want to give a quick shout out really quick to a local business. And this is super random, but I'm just super happy for this girl. I'm not going to give names, but Sugar and Flour in our hometown is huge right now. And I just want to give a shout out to that because our town needed it.
For sure.
Our town needed something similar to Starbucks where we could go have a really good coffee that isn't McDonald's or Burger King coffee. She has the restaurant decorated so cute. You said it was similar to
like Luke's, like it's like a very bougie Luke's diner. In Gilmore Girls.
So cute. And she's got like grilled cheese and tomato soup and like fresh salads and peach tea. And I really just wish her all the success in the world.
For sure.
I would love to talk to her someday.
Especially a girl who is close to our age.
Yeah, that's great. Like, I'm super hyped for her. We haven't been out to make it yet because right now she's only doing soft openings.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like hard to get there right now. But once she fully opens, we completely plan on going and like doing podcasting planning there. You know, maybe even talking to her about how the business came about. So we'll see. So catch us there. Like, come by and see us. We will be there in the future. So
definitely.
Anyway,
thank you guys. Like, subscribe,
share.
And yeah, we appreciate you guys so much for supporting us.
Always.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you on the next one.
Bye.
Peace.